Welcome to the Vort. My name is Rabbi Yochanan. I am the brother of the Kala Yiska and Chavrusa of the Chazan Mosheh. And so I've been elected. To speak a little bit about both of them tonight. My first meeting with Moshe was a little awkward, actually. I'm sure you're all aware of his past. So he came upon me as I was swimming in the basement here at Chappelle's. See, we had constructed a little pool area after the washer had started leaking and flooded the place again. And within a single bound, he was by my side. And I recognized this incredible koach that, if channeled to the study of Torah, could produce such a tremendous gadol. So I bribed him into giving up his life as a robber and start studying Torah in exchange for my sister's hand in marriage. And look at him now. Tremendous turnaround, wouldn't you say? Moshe was raised in Springfield, Oregon. He graduated from San Diego State University with a degree in computer science. He made Aliyah 3 years ago and served for a year and a half in the Kivati Infantry Brigade. He's been studying at Chappelle's for 10 months. And my sister Yiska, tremendously understanding woman. You see, I came home after my first encounter with Moshe and told her that I've just promised her to a tremendous highway robber, and she didn't run away. That's what you want in a wife. Fearless. Yiska was raised in Charleston, South Carolina. Grew up in a wonderful family. She went to Machlelet Esther and Stern College, majoring in biology. Then she went to nursing school in downstate and is now a nurse at Me'uchedet. She made Aliyah 2 years ago and learned in Neve. And so with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, a Rav here at Chappelle's. Please welcome Rabbi Shoshan.
I want to wish a special mazel tov to Moshe and to Yiska and to all the many people that I'm sure are here that have had a hand in bringing them to this day, and maybe even more specifically in bringing us to this particular night. All the people that participated in setting up this Vort, it's very nice. And it's welcome to everybody here. We're very delighted to have you. We find ourselves in a very interesting time of the year, as everybody knows, in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. And in fact, we even deliberated for a short amount of time when Moshe told us that they wanted to have a Vort. We figured maybe we should have it after Yom Kippur, but then it's been Azmanim, and the guys were not here, and the Rabbeim were not here. So we thought maybe it was inappropriate somehow to have a Vort in between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. In fact, I passed by, I was on Rehov Beit HaTfus this evening, where there are weddings every night, and the traffic is backed up from the taxis, and there's no weddings, there's no traffic. Everything in Mondial is shut down, and in Gutnik is shut down. Somehow people have this sense that maybe now is not the most opportune time. But I want to tell you the truth that I was thinking that it's really quite the opposite. I want to speak just for a moment about two features of this period between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur that I think are fundamental to marriage. I want to begin with Yom Kippur. In just a few days we'll be celebrating Yom Kippur. And it's interesting that the Gemara actually makes a very specific connection, a specific correlation between Yom Kippur and marriage. The Gemara says, a very famous Mishnah at the end of Maseches Tainis tells us that there are no two greater days in the year for the Jewish people. Lo hayu yomim tovim liYisrael kichamisha asar b'Av u'kiyom HaKippurim. There are no two greater days than the 15th of Av and Yom Kippur. And the Mishnah describes, and the Brisa goes into greater detail, that on Yom Kippur, they would, and it's amazing that on Yom Kippur, on these days, there was a minhag, and that time of the Mishnah, that the young maidens would go out into the fields, and they would seek husbands, and all the bachurim that were unmarried would come, and they would come to the fields, and they would observe these women. A very famous Gemara, I'm sure everyone here has heard of this Gemara, that the Gemara describes how the various young ladies would present themselves to the young men seeking husbands. So maybe on Rosh Hashanah Tashlich it sounds like a more common thing, but on Yom Kippur that's not the way we generally imagine Yom Kippur being celebrated. And yet the Gemara does make that connection. So the Gemara, when it examines this Mishnah, the Gemara wonders what is so significant about Yom Kippur and the 15th of Av. And the Gemara says, Bishlam Yom Kippurim. I understand what's significant about Yom Kippur. I understand why Yom Kippur is such a great day, why it's such a happy day, why it's a day of celebration. And the Gemara says, Bishlam Yom Kippur, the Isbe Slichu Mechila. Yom Kippur I understand because it's a day that has Slicha and Mechila, that has forgiveness. And so the Gemara, in defining the quality of Yom Kippur, that makes Yom Kippur possibly a day that is associated with marriage, the Gemara says that the dimension of Yom Kippur that makes it associated with marriage is the dimension of forgiveness. Because forgiveness and flexibility, being able to forgive another, is really fundamental to being able to be married. So that's one idea. An idea that we have that we see the Gemara already describes fundamental to Yom Kippur is forgiveness, and therefore fundamental to marriage is forgiveness. The truth is, Rosh Hashanah in many ways is the exact opposite. Rosh Hashanah is not about forgiveness. Rosh Hashanah is not about a person doing something wrong and then finding the way to make amends with that wrongdoing. In fact, Rosh Hashanah is very much the opposite. Rosh Hashanah is about good beginnings. It's about getting it right from the start. Not having to seek forgiveness, because you got it right from the beginning. I was thinking over Rosh Hashanah of something that I never thought of before. You know, everybody was in shuls, and it's a custom in virtually every shul, perhaps every shul, that all three of the major Balei Tefillah of Rosh Hashanah, all three of them, the Bal Tefillah, the Shaliach Tzibur, for Ma'ariv, for Shachris, and for Musaf, all three of them have unusually dramatic beginnings. Unlike the rest of the year. Normally, the Bal Ma'ariv gets up and he says Baruch Hu. But here, on Rosh Hashanah, the Bal Ma'ariv gets up and first, throughout in the whole shul sings, and there's no more dramatic beginning of a davening of the whole year. In the morning, the Baal Shachris, the same thing. From the corner of his seat, he sings a niggin and calls out in the middle of a sentence, HaMelech. And then the Baal Musaf, who normally just gets up to say Yikum Purkan every Shabbos of the year, or says Ashrei, or whatever it is during the year, but he has this dramatic introductory tefillah, Hinani Ha'ani Mimas, this dramatic tefillah. So we see something significant that we don't see the rest of the year. That when it comes to Rosh Hashanah, all three of them begin with some very, very dramatic and somewhat celebratory, not Yom Kippur, not Musaf, but a dramatic beginning. And I think it's because Rosh Hashanah is all about dramatic beginnings. Rosh Hashanah is about getting it right at the beginning. In fact, on Rosh Hashanah, many have the minhag not to say Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. We don't even mention sin, because we begin the new year